everybody, it's John with my 10-minute movie review, India Cine-MANIAC style. Today I'm going to review the poll winner of last week's poll, which was Ghajini, the 2008 Hindi version, starring you-know-who, Aamir Khan. Now, some things I did not know. This is a remake of the director who is now, I've got a lot of notes on this, so forgive me for looking down at my notes. This was directed by A.R. Murugadoss, who directed the Tamil version. He remade it. I also found out he was jailed after filming this because he never bought the rights to it. So that was kind of interesting to get jailed for it. The cast was Aamir Khan, Asin Thottumkai, who was from the original, who was from in the Tamil version. This was the first Hindi film. Jiah Kahn, who I think this was her first film, and she only made a couple more because she took her own life in 2013, which was kind of sad. And finally, Pradeep Singh Rawat, who played Ghajini in this one, and also in the other one, except the character's name was Lakshman. So he was the bad guy in both of these. So they brought them over. Obviously, this film was heavily influenced by Christopher Nolan's Memento. And I understand Nolan was not too happy because the director, although admits it, never really gave Nolan credit for kind of lifting a lot of the concepts of Memento into this film. I think Memento works better with this theme, but that I'll get into what I think about this movie in a second. So the whole movie is about this character who's got what's called anterograde amnesia, which means he can only remember things for 15 minutes and then he forgets. So he takes Polaroids, he writes notes all over the place, and in the trailer you see this. It was first of all, I liked this film. I didn't love it. I liked it. And the reason why I didn't love it was because the movie is really two movies. It's the story of Sanjay, or we'll call him Beast Mode Sanjay, who's trying to get revenge on the people who murdered was probably going to be his fiance, who is Kalpana, played by Asin Thottumkai. That I loved. Okay, I loved the way it unraveled. I loved the way bits and pieces, his investigation, his performance, the way he looked. I mean, I don't know what kind of working out he did. I know he did a lot for Dungle, but I mean, he was jacked. And, at one point he takes his shirt off to show all the tattoos, and the guy's just absolutely ripped. So that I really enjoyed. The issue I had was the flashbacks when you realize who this guy that is like nuts was, and he ends up being the CEO of a telecom company. What was his name? Sanjay something. I can't remember the last name. Who was, he was dressed really nice by Van Heusen, by the way. And he meets this girl Kalpana. And that was that was such a different tone than the other part of the movie that it was almost distracting to me. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't like the flashbacks and how they developed their relationship. I actually did like it. But I thought that could have been a separate movie, a love story, right? A love story with some comedy in it. Because the difference in tone between what you saw in the present and what you saw in the past, and I get it, one's about blooming love and the colors were different. That's when the musical numbers hit that didn't have anything to do with the plot. But it was such a stark difference in tone that when you came back to this dark, gritty, serious present, it was kind of jarring. And I think I understand what the director did. He did it because he wants to set up the revenge tour. You know, why is he so focused on revenge? Because they have to build that up. And when she, and spoilers, when she gets murdered, it is brutal. I mean, it was a tough scene. And you know, the reason why he has amnesia because he was getting pummeled in the head by a giant steel thing. Now, the question, of course, I have is why did they let him live? Why didn't they just kill him? Why did the bad guy, Ghajini, let him live after he killed the woman? Because he was the only witness. He didn't know he had amnesia. Maybe he thought he killed him. I don't know. But that's one little logic thing I didn't quite. There were a few others, but let's see what else. At the first scene where he kills the first guy, the cops show up. It sounded like bees buzzing, and I wonder if anyone's caught that, and if there was a reason why they did that. Then this cop chases down the bus, and the cop who was in this was the cop in the Tamil version too, and he kind of goes back unceremoniously. But again, the flashbacks, like the scene where you first meet Kalpana, who's beautiful, and I thought she had a great personality, but like she does this commercial thing. She works for an ad agency, and it was slapstick, and it was such a contrast from what we just saw at the beginning of the movie that I didn't quite understand it. Like I said, it was jarring. Then the second song that they do in a flashback, it was a really it reminded me, and I've said this before. It's like an MTV video. The angles were different. They're quick cuts, very colorful. And I think it was the theme of past versus present, I guess. And then they did that scene where they had like 6 different versions of Khan. You know, I thought that was pretty cool because for me, it's all Khan all the time. Um, and then he meets a student. He doesn't meet a medical student. Uncovers his story and is trying to do some research and actually gets to meet him. And she's the woman who took her life in real life, but she was great in this. And frankly, all of a sudden, she's this nerdy medical student. Now they do this big production number where again she's sexy as hell. And I'm like, where was that? I wasn't expecting that. So that was kind of strange. They do another dance, no, another song on the Skeleton Coast in Namibia. Namibia. I think that's how I pronounce it, but I've never seen a place like that. And I always say in my reviews, I like to be taken to some place I haven't seen. I would love to see that place again in another movie. Um, and so I thought, like his performance, if you look at this movie, he played 3 distinct characters, right? He played Sanjay, the CEO, cool, calm, collected. Then he played Suchin, I think was the name, where she didn't know he was this big CEO. He didn't tell her because he wanted to make sure that he was in love with him. She was in love with him, not for his money. Sachin was his name. And then he plays the beast mode, Sanjay. So I understand why, because he was hesitant to do this. In fact, I think he said Salman Khan would have been better for this role than him. Well, I disagree because the acting he did in the 3 different roles was impressive. And as always, he's always impressive. And the fight scenes, the choreography for the fight scenes were great because at one point he's taking on 10 guys and you're like, okay, this is kind of over the top. But the way they did it in his state of mind, it actually worked. And the way they shot it through this alley, like almost, it wasn't a single take, but that's kind of what it looked like. And obviously they had a steady cam. They're going through these alleys while the fight's going on. I thought that was really, really cool. And I know the ending was different than in the Tamil version. And a big part of that was because Khan wanted to end it a little differently and rewrite some of the dialogue. And the director actually said that Khan's ending was better than his ending, and he thought it made the movie better. So, yeah, that's my biggest complaint about this movie. But I tell you, I really, really liked it. And he was great, and the female leads were great, and the bad guy was great, but he was, twirling the mustache. I mean, he was really evil with no nuance whatsoever, which is okay because when he ultimately gets killed, you're all for it. You want this guy to get his head smashed in. So, but for me, most of the flashbacks, it wasn't all because towards the end, it got really brutal, and it really explained why he's doing what he's doing. but it was, like I said, because it's a long movie, and I think they could have cut out a lot of that, and it wouldn't have hurt the film at all. Where I think it was a little, for me, and I know that we always talk about tonal shifts in these movies, but that was just too stark for me. It was distractingly stark. If you did these two movies separately, I would have enjoyed both of them a lot more than combined into one. I don't know if that makes any sense. And at the end, he's sitting there on the bench, and all of a sudden, she's there, his dead, hopefully, hoped would be his fiance. And I think the message was, because he still has this brain thing, so he still only remembers things for 15 minutes. I think the message was, she will always be in his memory, no matter what. And he was also back to, as normal as he could be. So that's what I thought of it. I think, I don't know about the other four movies that were on the poll, but I really, again, I'm such a huge fan of Kahn and his acting, and he was wonderful in this. And I really did. There were things about the movie I really liked, and my biggest criticism is what we talked about. Some of the logistical stuff doesn't make any sense, but I didn't care. I was into the character, and I was into unraveling the mystery. So that's my little review there. So the next film, I'm going to put out another poll based on some of your feedback, but the next film I am going to review is one that a lot of you have been talking about, and it's the film Barfi. And I'm looking forward to that. I don't know anything about it. I just saw the poster, and it looks like it's going to be a fun movie. But you know what? The more I learn about Indian cinema, what I see on the poster doesn't necessarily translate to what I'm going to see in the film. Anyway, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I appreciate you guys supporting this and our all our shows in the on the channel. So I hope I've earned your subscription, and please hit the notification button, smash the like button. As you know, and I keep saying, it really does make a difference. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time with Zubi dooby nache kyun pagal stupid man. Zubi dooby pampara zubi dooby paramba. Zubi dooby nache kyun pagal stupid man.